Anyways, we're pleased to be joined now by Jon Kolb, former Steelers offensive tackle and world's strongest man competitor, former Oklahoma State Cowboy. You got some guys on the roster now?
I got some guys to cheer for. Yeah. And I'm really conflicted. In Oklahoma, everybody's Baptist, everybody's Republican, but the state splits over whether you're a Sooner or a Cowboy.
Okay.
And so when they picked up Landry Jones, I was like, oh. But Landry Jones is such a classy guy. He really. I love it. He supports. We have a nonprofit, and Landry Jones comes. He supports us. He buys stuff he doesn't even want. So
makes it hard to hate him.
Yeah, you can. He's a great guy. But Oklahoma State's got a quarterback here too.
What do you know about him? I mean, did you follow Oklahoma State football still?
I did. I was actually back there last week. They were having a kind of a fundraiser. I mean, colleges today. I don't know if you've been on campuses today, but it's unbelievable what they have. But I was at the Pitt Oklahoma State game.
Okay. So you
year.
got to see him do pretty well.
Yeah, and seriously, I walked my roommate from college who played for the Vikings against us in the first Super Bowl. We were walking off the field after the game, and I said, "Boy, if we could get those two guys in the draft."
You're talking.
That would be, that'd be a great thing. And somebody must have heard me.
You should be a GM, John.
Yeah, they sure did. Boy, that was an easy pick. There.
Yeah, absolutely.
John, you were here in minicamp, and you told the fans about your nonprofit organization. Could you expand upon it? It's really a great thing you guys are doing.
Yes, thanks. Thanks for the opportunity.
Sure.
Today, some things are in our culture are turned upside down, and one of them is the medical profession, particularly with insurance. And I look at a lot like the draft and the training camp. You go to the draft and you have the training camp anyway. They run a 40-yard dash and they do bench presses and they do the change of direction and they vertical jump. And with that, they say you're a first-round draft choice. But it's not really till you're come to training camp we find if you can play football. And a lot of times rehab gets to be that way. They say, okay, if you can bend your knee 119 degrees or you've had 10 visits and that's the average for this surgery, that's what you need, then you're done.
And every person's different.
And everybody's different. And so there's just a epidemic of people out there with chronic problems, particularly veterans. Veterans with MS and Parkinson's disease is epidemic again, and there's 900,000 veterans in the United States. So we have a grant to work with veterans in 3 counties in western Pennsylvania and Ohio. We do an after-school program for children that are at risk. We have 210 kids in that program. And then we have what I started off saying with the training camp analogy. We have mostly older people, but not all of them, with everything from, right now we have 4 young people in their 20s and 30s with spinal cord injuries, and their insurance is expired. So essentially, and people will get
really
mad.
on their own.
Yeah, people will get mad at me for saying this, but, come look at these. It seems to me they just wait for you to die of a urinary tract infection. And but a lot of these people make some progress. They're not going to make progress when they're sitting in a wheelchair for 18 hours a day.
So what kind of activities do you have them doing?
Well, crazy stuff.
Oh, really? Running 40s and verticals?
Yeah, no, I like I'm not a golfer. I never figured this game out, but I like rock climbing. And we put rock climbing harnesses on them.
Oh, really?
And then we suspend them from the ceiling, kind of like you did when maybe your parents did with you or you did with your kids, like a little jolly jumper thing.
Yeah, the feet barely touch the ground.
Can just kind of touch down. And if you step on a tack, you don't stand there on it and say, you know what, is there something going on wrong?
That hurts.
Your brain doesn't need to. There's a stretch reflex. And so what we try to do in a short explanation here is try to get that stretch reflex going. And people, seriously, it's really cool. They first can kind of do squats with this. And We have a young man. He's you can see him on our website. He's a T45 paraplegic, and he's jumping now
Oh, really?
with the bands and the rock climbing harness. He's walking with the walker. We have some other people with spinal cord injuries that are doing well too. So
So I imagine you've been watching Ryan Shazier's progress.
I really have. Yeah. Because again, that's kind of, if you have an athlete and he's injured, what do? They'll work with him twice a day.
Right.
But if you or me with our normal insurance are injured, you get 3 times a week, and then once the therapist has determined that you're not making progress, they're probably not going to continue with your rehab.
Totally on your own.
Then you're on your own.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great stuff, John. And what's the website?
The website is, the name of the program is Adventures in Training with a Purpose. And so you can just type in adventurestraining.org, adventurestraining.org, and you'll see us. I teach at YSU, and I call them my rock stars. And we have some students also from Slippery Rock University, a couple other universities in the area, and they really help us. They're exercise science majors, and they really do a great job of doing the hands-on training with these people. Yeah.
You were well known in your playing career as one of the strongest guys in the league and one of the best conditioned at the position. And do you have an extensive training of, strength programs and all those type of things? Or, I mean, it seems like a correlation with what you're doing now.
It is. I think this is just something I don't want to. My son's always saying, just give me your elevator speech. But when I was, I walked on the campus at Oklahoma State.
Okay.
And they said, what do you want to study? And I thought, I came here to play football. But there was a sign in the wrestling room, and it changed my life. This is the truth. It said, if muscles were everything, a bull could catch a rabbit.
All right.
And so I went back the next day, and I said, I know what I want to study now. I want to study how come bulls can't catch rabbits. And our class starts August 22nd, and I will assign my students in my kinesiology class at YSU the assignment for the term paper at the end of the semester is how come bulls can't catch rabbits.
Oh, really?
Seriously.
Okay.
Yeah, you can read these papers. They do a great. Yeah. And it's so, essentially what we need to do, think about it, we need to train our bulls like rabbits.
And vice versa.
And we need to train our rabbits like bulls.
Sure.
But what do we do most times? Many times we just train our bulls to be
stronger bulls,
and our rabbits to be, and you've got to understand what is the difference in that process. But for me, way back, I tell people in Oklahoma, if you didn't become a football player, your parents would put you up for adoption and find a kid that could play. and so that that has always fascinated me, is how we run faster and jump higher and get stronger. And when you help an athlete, you help one person. Maybe he makes the team or so, but you help one person. When you help a person that's paralyzed or has a spinal cord injury, generally you're helping the whole family.
Everyone associated with him, sure.
It takes the whole family to care for him. And so the training athletes is great. And a lot of times what we're doing, because my son is with us now, he wrestled at the University of Nebraska. He will have wrestlers training on one part of a gym, and we'll have people that have had a stroke training right next to him. And it creates an atmosphere that's more positive instead of something that that you you're looking forward better, I think, that way than if
I would think if you're the wrestler looking over there, you appreciate what you have and
absolutely.
maybe
those guys work a little harder.
You think you've had a tough day of working out, and then you look over there and you see this guy.
So you're right, it does.
That's great.
I wish you could do more of that. Wish that could be everywhere. John, you mentioned you teach at YSU. And the Steelers have a kid from YSU in camp right now that's turning some heads.
Yeah, and I think that's exciting as well. In fact, the strength coach at YSU was in my class, and so I'm really excited that I've got my Oklahoma State guys in my YSU.
All you need is for Mason Rudolph to throw a touchdown pass to Damone Patterson. And
there we go.
Yeah. Perfect.
There we go. Yeah.
He is Jon Kolb, and we appreciate you coming in, John. With everything that you did in your career, and I mean, you won 4 Super Bowls. You competed in the World's Strongest Man contest, and did all those great things on the sporting field. What you're doing now is even more important than any of those other things.
I think the best way that I could explain it, the last couple of years, my roommate was a guy you may remember. His name was Terry Bradshaw. And we have some, occasionally the Steelers are great. They'll bring everybody in. And one of the last ones, Terry was late. And he came in late, and he was kind of like Terry, whooping it up. And I said, he sat down, I said, what are you laughing at? And he said, there's a lady out there, and she's going, oh my gosh, you used to be Terry Bradshaw.
It used to be.
and Brad, he's typical Brad. He goes, yeah, I used to be, but I ain't no more. And I remember from my first year of being here, and Chuck Noll literally came in and said, a lot of you guys aren't going to be here when training camp's over.
Right.
And I saw, because he really, my rookie year, there was Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood, and myself. And next year, Terry Bradshaw and Mel Blount, and the team changed. But I saw those guys many times that were older than me, and their life would kind of crash and burn. And that was scary. To me, that was scary. And the Super Bowls were awesome. But I remember thinking, I don't want this to be the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. And it frightened me that would be the biggest thing. So I got to play till I was 35, and that's still young. I didn't want to be 35 years old, and the best part was behind me, and it hasn't been. The best part for me is still in front.
I'd take winning 4 Super Bowls, though. That's not too
No,
bad.
I'm not.
In 6 years, yeah.
No, I'm not calling that. No, that was great. Because the guys that, I mean, Rocky's up here today. He finished his book finally after 35 years of fighting back. He finally got it finished. But the guys, Franco and Rocky, they're so good that my teammates have helping us with our fundraisers, and we need that because we're a nonprofit, and so it is still a team in many ways.
Yeah, you never forget
Tremendous.
those bonds that you form with teammates. So
Right.
I'm sure you guys could not see each other for several years, and you come back and it's right back to the same old stories and the same, because it sparks those memories of when you were younger and the great things that you did.
Right, and I mean, I don't know how many of your people are aware, but just in the last couple of months, we've lost Benny Cunningham, and
Several from those teams are gone.
yeah,
obviously. Right.
yeah, Ron Johnson was the one I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to look at team pictures sometimes anymore. So, there's and I give the example. We lost Dwight White. And I practiced against him every day. And if he wasn't in there, it was John Banaszak. And, John he would get me so angry because we were doing one-on-one pass protection. And he had to get to the quarterback, and I had to keep him away.
And he's trying to earn his stripes at that point. He's trying to get on the field.
Right. But I guess I'm trying to say, to your point, is that as competitive and as much as I could be angry with him, if he were to call up and say, hey, could you come bring me a Coke 100 miles away, I'd get him a Coke.
Jump in the car,
and
right?
he would you'd do that. It's just there's I think, what I see, because we work with veterans, and they've got kind of the same, they say once a Marine, always a Marine. And we have Vietnam veterans. I have one that I work with. He's lost 100 pounds, and I thought, regular guy. No, he's not a regular guy. He has a Bronze Star, and he was also awarded a Silver Star. And he walks in. Nobody ever pats him on the back. Nobody ever says, hey, you got 4 Super Bowl rings. My best friend in high school, we played marbles together in grade school. And Oklahoma has a Hall of Fame. And they called up a couple years ago and said, we voted you into this. And in Oklahoma, it's a big deal. Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris are in it. And so my friend called up, and he said, I'll pick you up at the airport. I said, fine. So anyway, he's picking me up for this big dinner, 800 people, and as we're walking to the airport, I'm walking to his car, and on the license plate it said Bronze Star. You know, and I just, again,
why is he in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right.
So it was really great. I'm glad I saw that, because when my talk, I gave my two things were really neat. My sons introduced me. They never mentioned football, so they talked about character. And I gave my talk. I didn't mention football either. I talked about what a real hero is, and I had Gary stand up. So I think, but without the Super Bowls, we don't get the opportunity to make people.
It gives you the platform.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well said. It gives us a platform to do something that's going to make a difference.
And it's so great that, like you said, Rocky and Franco are helping your platform even more. You know, these great teammates that you had.
And Franco is very much involved in a program that raises money for scholarships for kids that maybe wouldn't go to college. So it's amazing when you look at what some of these guys are doing. I don't know how much time you have, but L.C. Greenwood, at his funeral, the pastor, I'll never forget, Pastor Glaze, and I may have these days off a couple, but he said, L.C. Greenwood, October 22nd, 1946, October 12th, 2012. And he said, the first date's not important, the second date's not important, but the dash is what's important.
Everything in between, yeah.
And I will never forget that. And he said, so he continued to talk about L.C. Greenwood's dash, which was a big dash.
Yeah.
So
you guys all got on with your life's work.
Yes.
As Chuck liked to say.
Right.
Your life's work was what's important.
Yeah.
But he is Jon Kolb. John, we appreciate you coming on. And the rain's letting up here a little bit, so maybe we'll let you try to make a run for it up the hill.
Thank you.
We do appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.